Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third party review. In today's video I'm taking a look at the third offering from third party New Boys Fans Hobby. This is part of their Masterbuilder line, MB03 Feilong. This is their take on a masterpiece styled Doublecross. One of those notorious Autobot, I say Autobot, they're kind of Autobot-ish, Monsterbots, who's recently adopted the name of Twinferno. Your guess is as good as mine. Quick look around the box. We have Feilong and his robot and his twin-headed dragon mode, and a few more shots of Feilong, stating that he has an inbuilt blaster cannon and weapons can be attached to his back. Now, please bear in mind, this is a pre-production sample. It is by no means final, although it may look and feel like a finished product. There are some slight modifications that Fans Hobby are going to do for the final release, including some joint stiffening on his crotch. I personally don't see much of a problem with his crotch, but apparently they do, and they're going to stiffen it up a little bit. Each to their own. Now, accessory-wise, he comes with 2x Rust Ray rifles. Nice little homage to the original G1 toys. They are slightly different. I believe the original kind of had an ammo cartridge come down here. I think the G1 toys were cast in white, but it's more of a stylized animation version of him, much the same as what we get from the likes of DX9. They have included a space here for us to stick an Autobot logo, which again was very similar to what we got with the toy, whereas in the animation he had Autobot logos on either side of that chest. Now the guns themselves can actually be stored within his dragon heads at two different points. There's a peg at the top of the jaw and a peg slightly lower down. I prefer to go for the lower down peg. I believe it looks kind of more natural in my opinion, and you've got a double hinge here as well, so we can just drop down and hold those guns nicely. And as stated on the back of the box, we do have a built-in cannon, so we can just lift this section up, and there we go! We have a big blast cannon built into his hand. And the cannon can be slid forwards or backwards, depending on your preference. I personally prefer to have the cannon slid backwards, so we've got the full length of the claw here, making the dragon head look almost like a Scorponok style claw. Now, Doublecross is not the first of the Monsterbots that Fans Hobby have given us. They, of course, gave us their interpretation of Repugnus. Why does Doublecross get the kind of nice name? We've got Repugnus and Grotesque. Those are really ugly names, and then we get Doublecross. The other guy's really got the short straws. Scale-wise, he is a big boy. He's one of the bigger Autobot masterpiece figures, standing around 9 inches in height. That's around 23 centimeters, with a wingspan of around 16 inches. That's 41 centimeters. And for all of you weight monkeys out there, he weighs in at 690 grams. That's 1 pound 8 ounces. Now, I know this style of figure isn't going to be for everyone, but I absolutely love just how vibrant the colours are, and I like the fact they haven't given us a completely standard homage to the figure. I like that they've taken some creative choices and given him a more stylized look. A lot of people might not want this in their masterpiece collection. I personally think he does fit an absolute treat. He does have some very humanoid features with the likes of the face, which is good, because I believe the original toy is one of the first toys we got from the Transformers line that actually gave us humanoid-like features. Get a really nice face sculpt on this guy with that really glistening, vibrant visor there. I like this smoked kind of off-white colour. It's nice. It's almost like a dirty, I've been out there fighting sort of look. Articulation-wise, the head can look up and down. There is a neck peg, so we can peg that in for a fixed position. We do get a quizzical tilt left and right, and we can turn the head left and right without any clearance issues at all. Coming around to the shoulders, we get a gorgeous butterfly joint. I love that on a figure. Nice ratchets up and down. We get friction joint forwards and backwards. We get an upper bicep rotation. We get not one, but two bends at the elbow, and that's a nice looking elbow as well. It's kind of nice and clean, nothing jutting out untoward. The fists can slide forwards and backwards on this slider, revealing the cannon. And as previously mentioned, the dragon jaws can go forwards and backwards on a double hinge, both top and bottom jaw, and we can rotate this fist around to put the dragon heads on top as well. The wings are hinged at 1, 2, 3 points, so we can get a nice different angle there. I would have liked there to have been some up and down motion on these wings as well, as opposed to them being statically fixed in, but beggars can't be choosers. And of course we can tuck the dragon arms away nicely at the rear. Now there's no real abdominal crunch. We do get a little bit of play in there, but that's due to the transformation, and that's a shame. That's something I really liked about their Repugnus. He had a bloody amazing ab crunch. Your waist actually lifts up out of this joint and rotates really nicely, so we've got a nice clean range there. Now the leg sections here, the crotch, are on a single piece that pivots as one single piece, much like we get with the Make Toys Inferno and Grapple. Now I'm not a fan of that. Ideally I would like these to move individually, but this section is die cast, so there's not any chance of any breakage there at all. The legs can come this far forwards, this far backwards. They can come out to the side on a nice stiff ratchet. We get an upper thigh rotation, and we do get a bend at the leg. It's not quite a 90-degree bend. We can open up that back section of the leg to get more depth in there, but again, that's mainly due to the transformation. Coming down to the feet, we get some pivots left and right, and we do get some forwards and backwards, and of course we do have these big monster claws which we can use to give him a much more balanced stance, but they're not needed. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of the slightly hollowed out leg section. Only apparent when we look at the inner workings of the leg there, and from the front and from the rear you can't tell at all. But that's just me nitpicking, and like I mentioned, I'm really happy with the joints here. I don't see any issues in them whatsoever, but I've been reliably informed that they are being tightened to give him a ridiculously sturdy stance. And with the extension of his dragon legs, we also get a chicken leg mode, which makes him tower over the mighty Optimus Prime. But I mean, let's be honest, as far as Monsterbots go for dynamic poses, he looks incredible. Now, as amazing as Feilong looks in his robot mode, he does of course transform. So first port of action is to grab this section here, lift it up behind the head, and bring this section down. We can then grab the chest and slide it outwards, and we can push that inside his ribcage. And then from the rear we can just pull this section apart, and his head is going to push backwards inside that cavity, and then we can slide these sections back together again, tabbing them into place. Bring this up and over again, bringing this lip back, covering off this section here. Fully extend both dragon heads by sliding them down the cannons. Bring the dragon heads to the front and rotate them at the neck. Using the double swivel, we can rotate them once and then rotate them again, so the jaw section is now facing downwards. You want to grab this section here, pull it out and lift this section up. Come to the tail section and lift this up. Bring the leg out to the side. That gives us enough room. Now if we're going to grab the inner workings of the leg, rotate them out, and they're on a swivel hinge, so as we rotate them out they're going to just come down and peg in like so. I tend to move the wings out of the way and bring this leg out, so I've got lots of room for clearance. We can then bring this leg through, and as you can see there's now enough room for clearance. Bring this leg up, and they're going to tab together, but firstly come round to the front, lift these thigh sections up, and with the thigh skirts lifted up we can then bring this section down, pop this section down, bring these in together, tabbing them into place at the tail and in the center here, and then we can bring these crotch plates down, extend the feet, bring the wings upwards, They're just going to tab into the side there. You can bring the dragon arm sections down, and this whole torso section is going to push downwards, securing it into place. Slide this section down, and that's going to form the heel spur for dragon mode. And then last but by no means least, we can slide his rifles into the rear. Here we have him in his monster mode, all transformed up, and that's a nice homage to the original toy there. We've got these circle sections around the neck. We've got a nice wide wingspan with plenty of room to put our Autobot logos on. The arms are maybe not as humanoid as I would have liked. The original had very human-like hands, but still, he does look very close to his original counterpart. I would like maybe an additional hinge just in there behind the head, because we have to bend it at the neck or at the top here. But still, either way, he does look very menacing indeed. It almost looks kind of skeletal in appearance with these heads. Kind of look like the bad guys, the skull heads, whatever they're called, from King Kong Skull Island. Look very similar indeed. The rifles do look the part, being mounted on the back section there. We've got this nice sturdy tail that comes down. Everything tabs in nicely. The legs, we don't get as much range outwards as I would like, because the hinge itself isn't designed to be used as the articulation, but we can go forwards and backwards on this gorgeous ratchet. And we do get the bend at the knee, and we do get that bend at the toe on a very stiff ratchet indeed. The arms are ball mounted, so we can go forwards and backwards, up and down. We do get a bend at the elbow, and the claws themselves are fixed. We get some rotation on this neck joint. We get up and down motion, and of course we can extend that neck, and we get all of that big range on those heads with the double jointed hinges top and bottom. Here he is alongside Repugnus, and yes, I know the top section of his mandible claw is missing. It's actually in my storage box out in the other studio, and my wife has taken the keys with her into town. I went to get the keys, and yes, I can't access any of my figures. Thank you, Mrs. Collectables. Anyway, these two do look fantastic together, and I honestly can't wait to get Grotesque as well. He is my favourite of the three. Just such a vibrant colour. If you haven't ever heard of the Monsterbots, they were in the Marvel comics back in the day, and they were then used briefly in Headmasters, I believe. In one of the episodes about Beast Island, I think it was, they only made a few very brief appearances, but nonetheless, they definitely deserve a Masterpiece-styled toy, and thankfully, Fans Hobby are giving us just that. Again, scale-wise, depending on how you want them to display, like, for example, I display my Dinobots in their dino mode, so you may want to do the same with your Monsterbots, and they do look very fetching in their monster modes. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the latest offering from Fans Hobby, their MB Masterbuilder 03 Feilong. He's a nice solid figure made of a very durable plastic, much like we get from the likes of DX9 and Unique Toys. It's more stylized as opposed to true to his animation model, but that doesn't make it a bad figure, and it definitely still looks the part in a Masterpiece collection, in my opinion. There are those small gripes that I have regarding the waistguard in bot mode and the ability to move these thigh sections out for his beast mode. But that being said, it's still a very nice figure, and they continue to make a mark on the third-party market. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And until next time, from myself and Doublecross, goodbye. The waist actually lifts up out of this joint and rotates really nicely, so we've got a nice clean range there. And with the extension of his dragon legs, we also get a chicken leg mode, which makes him tower over the mighty Optimus Prime.